is the greatest moment in my life.
Hey, yo!
Something's tickled you.
I just seen Dan Griffin's comment in the chat coming up straight away. And as our intro is playing, his comment comes up, and it just made me laugh because it's backwards. It makes no sense.
I mean, it's Dan Griffin. It makes absolutely perfect sense.
Well, potentially, yeah. Magsy, it's our birthday.
It is. Two whole years old.
2 years of chain wrestling. My goodness.
How have I not killed you before now?
I think it's because geographically it would take a lot of effort.
It is. And I am not one for putting in effort.
No, wow, there we go. It is 2 whole years of chain wrestling. Absolutely amazing. I wasn't sure how long this show was going to last for. It was brilliant as well. I don't know if you saw on Twitter, Magsy. Steve-O shared. Steve-O's going back and listening to all our old episodes.
See this. I saw this.
Yeah. He's listening to all our old episodes back again, which is awesome. You know, it's great that he enjoys all them so much. And there was literally a year ago, we did a Q&A, sort of ask us anything kind of thing. And Steve-O asked, where do you see this show being in a year, which would now be where we are now? And your response was exactly the same as we're doing the previous year, turning up and talking bollocks or something along those lines.
Yeah, and answering stupid questions, I said.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we could say that we are in exactly the same place, but we're not. We're on a network of our own.
Yes.
2 years in, from where we started, I mean, from an idea that you pitched after basically coming on a podcast and chatting bollocks with me for like 3 hours, to just throwing it out there and reviewing some ridiculous, great, terrible wrestling to where we are now, where it's the highlight of both our weeks. We've got a brilliant little community built. Yeah, I think we've come a hell of a long way in those 2 years, and it can only go downhill from here.
I don't think it can go downhill. I think we're pretty much rock bottom.
We're pretty much at the bottom already.
But we know our role in the podcasting world. Hey, perhaps that's what will play us in this week. A bit of Yaz.
I'm just looking back at Dan's comment, and obviously we know it's Monday. You know what that means, but the middle word "wonk" just sets the tone straight away for this show.
Amazingly, I read that as wank at first glance. A big bag of
wonk. Amazingly, as if it was out of the realms of possibility that you would read that as wank.
Maybe. Yeah, there we go. So last week, I want to address this very quickly before the show starts. We decided to make the call to postpone last week's show because Liv, my middle daughter, went into hospital for her long-awaited knee operation. Everything went well. She is home. She is not as mobile as she would like, obviously. It's a very, very serious operation. But so begins the long road to recovery. Hopefully she'll be back kicking a ball and playing for the city again very, very soon. Well, I say very soon. It's going to be a long road, like I said, but there we go. But that is why last week we took the decision to sort of postpone a week, but ended up being the right decision because we got messed around no end with information from the hospital being inaccurate and so on. Sharon ended up having to stay over in the hospital overnight. So it was a bit of a chaotic time. So apologies to everyone for that. But we're here. We're back this week. And it feels like a month has gone by, Max. We only missed one show, but it feels so long.
Yeah, I mean, that shows the impact this show has on us both. We literally messaged each other and said we felt lost not having a show. It's almost like my week revolves around starting with this, and then it gets better, and then obviously drops down to seeing you again. But yeah, without seeing your lovely cheruby face, it felt weird.
Cheruby face.
Cherubic.
Cherubic. But yes, there we go. And also, very quickly, before we begin the show, I just want to sort of pass on my well wishes, my prayers, my good thoughts, and so on to the absolute legend that is Barry Windham. Barry had a heart attack on Friday. apparently, according to reports online. He has been in intensive care since then. The news has only come out this afternoon. Hopefully, Mr. Wyndham will sort himself out, kick out of this issue, and return to as healthy as he can possibly be. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I know we on the show have a lot of fun. Well, me especially have a lot of fun mocking you for your love of all things 80s wrestling, and especially Barry Windham. But the things he's done for the business are almost second to none. He's an absolute legend. And yeah, my thoughts and prayers are with him. He's definitely going to be able to beat this because he doesn't do the job for anybody. And he'll be back to his stalking ways before we know it.
Fucking stalker. Jesus Christ, Max. Why you got to bring the stalker up?
I mean, that's enough to give anyone a heart attack.
Dude, not cool. But yes, good luck, Mr. Wyndham, and well wishes to him and his family. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever and whenever you may be listening or watching from. This is Chain Wrestling Live with Mags and Si, our 2-year anniversary show. I am Si, and with me, as always, is the Iron Man to my wobbly man, the ankle lock to my ankles crocked. Oh, yes, it is. A podcaster who never needs to go a full 30 minutes to get to a finish. That's what I've been told anyway. The podfather himself, Lord Mags. 2 years of this nonsense. Who's in the chat with us, mate?
Well, before I could have not addressed the fact that I can't go 30 minutes. I have been known to go Broadway.
Well, according to Mrs. Mags, I've had plenty of opportunities to address it. I haven't bothered. So
30 minutes, I can go multiple times. It will be at least 2 apiece. So in the chat, this absolute gobbledygook. It looks French, so I'm just gonna say it's Monday, so you know what that means from Dan Griffin. And Bagum, it's good to see you pair of beautiful bastards. He's clearly listening to us and watching something else because we are, unless he means The Rock and Scott Hall in the background. Maybe it's that. Because we are definitely not beautiful. The lovely Mrs. Yeah, the lovely Mrs. P. It's Monday, you know what that means. And Sapal alive solely due to geography, which is ironic, thinking he comes from Gloucester and one of the biggest serial killers this world has ever seen was from there. So yeah, it's surprised he actually did survive.
I don't know about world. Is he in the world class category, Mags? Do you think?
I think he is a world class serial killer. Yeah, I would put it to you that Fred West in the categories of serial killing, he's elite level. Would you not say?
I mean, he's very well known, but I think in this country, yeah. But how many did he end up killing? Like 13, 14, wasn't it? Something like that. Jesus
Christ. See what you do, Dan. You bring up a comment about geography and we get onto Fred West. How do we do this?
Well, then you look at some of the serial killers in like Asia and Brazil. They're up in that.
Jesus.
Well, I'm just saying.
Uncle Juicer, moist for this. Not as moist as Sight is after his dalliances this weekend.
Hang on. We need to come back to that and explain that in a little while because that sounds dodgy as hell.
I say leave it there. No context needed whatsoever.
Okay.
Young Charlie in the house. Hello, Charlie. How are you? Connor from Connor No Soccer. Hello, our American buddy. Call us Handsome Devils. I've used all been like daytime drinking because we are definitely not Handsome Devils. Maidstone's #1 son, Scottish Danny, evening CWF. Dan Griffin, if there's a word to describe chain wrestling, it's definitely wonk,
as opposed to woke, maybe.
And the other word.
Yes.
Cam Griffin, hello, sir. How are you? Wrestling Jibbers, hello, Mark. I hope you're doing well.
Hello,
evening all and happy second birthday. Yeah, first one to congratulate us on our second birthday. All these other comments, not once did they say happy second birthday. Just selfish. Sharon said her and Liv had her and the middle one had a long 30 hours. We hope. We hope she's recovers really, really quickly, because I can understand how frustrating it can be being basically not able to do the thing that you love. So, Scottish Danny saying prayers up to Barry Windham.
Yes, indeed.
Then how do we get talking about serial killers? It's this show, Charlie. I'm sorry, but we're just bad influencers. Never do anything that we say. Cam Griffin saying, I've missed this wrestling show so much. Good luck with the wrestling, because there's not much of it. And we'll finish off in our Charlie saying that she's all right. So thank you. Yeah, good. I'm glad you're doing well.
Yeah, so you mentioned my weekend, Magsy. I went to Birmingham for my work's Christmas party.
Oh, you go to all these fancy places, you.
Fancy Birmingham, fancy. It was a bit fancy. It was all paid for by the company, which was amazing. So they put us up in a hotel.
That's what makes it fancy.
Yeah, exactly. They put us up in a nice hotel, and we went somewhere nice to eat, and then we went to this little. It was a weird. I've never been there before. It's a karaoke bar, but you've each got your own little room. So it's just you, and there were 16 of us from work, and it was just us 16 in there. Okay. And there was like, I
thought you meant just like 16 separate rooms, like you ate and drank on your own.
Yeah, just one tiny little like solitary wooden chair in the middle of it. Yeah, that's right. But no, it was a good crack. Really, really enjoyed it. It was a great weekend. So yeah, I drank too much Sambuca, and I learned that I don't like Sambuca. So, which to be fair, I should have known, because I don't like aniseed. So.
And it only took 32 of them for you to realise that.
I wouldn't say 32. I had a few of them, yes, but Sharon doesn't drink, so there are occasions where beverages were bought for everybody with the number 16 in people's mind. So I would have hers once or twice throughout the evening, and maybe I overdid it a little bit on the Sambuca, especially considering I hate it. I hate the stuff.
So Cam is asking, what's your go-to karaoke song? Because you did have an attempt at it, didn't you?
Well, I've not got a go-to karaoke song, to be honest, but I had a bit of a blast on Rosalie by Thin Lizzy. Somebody else started it and then just basically shoved the microphone in my face, and I kind of carried that on. That was okay. By the time I was feeling confident enough to get involved, everyone was smashed and just singing lots of sing-along songs anyway. So, yeah, it took me a little while to get drunk enough to be confident to have a go, shall we say.
But sober karaoke is not a thing anyway. You've got to be half cut to have a go on karaoke.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Unless you're like really, really good. But then if you're a really good singer and you're walking into a karaoke bar sober, then you're just showing off and you're a prick, aren't you?
Exactly. This has turned into an impromptu AMA, because Dan wants to know if the Sambuca tasted worse on the way down or the way up. Now, I couldn't tell you, because I've never had a hangover. Well, I think I've vomited off beer a couple of times, but I've never had a hangover. How's that feel?
Not good. It wasn't good. I felt rough. It was not lovely at all. Proper bad times. But there we go. Sharon there in the chat saying, I was sober and did it. I relied on everyone else's drunkenness. Yeah, because they just... Sharon probably sounded like, some sort of classically trained singer compared to the rest of us drunken yobs.
Because she couldn't see the words. That's why.
There is. In the work group chat, there are a couple of incredibly short videos that I've not been brave enough to press play on yet. So I'm not too sure if I'm ever going to go and have a check.
Because in the thumbnail, it shows you.
Actually, it doesn't, but I'm concerned that I may pop up, which would be even worse. If it shows me at the start, then at least I'm prepared. If halfway through some sort of rendition of I don't know, Simply the Best by Tina Turner, My Ugly Mug pops up, then yeah, that's not a good look, is it?
Wearing bright red high heels and a silver dress, yeah, it look really weird.
Well, that's my go-to outfit, mate. My go-to going out outfit. So no shame in that. What about yourself, Magsy? Good weekend?
Yeah, pretty quiet really. We're doing a lot of prep work for Carlos's trip to Germany for the Jiu-Jitsu Championships. He goes Wednesday, so we had to get all his stuff in order.
I thought it was Greece.
Yeah, Greece. I don't even know what. Did I not say Greece?
You said Germany.
No, I meant Greece. I don't know why I
they're the
said J.
same.
That's weird. Yeah, start with a G. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
He flies to Athens on Wednesday morning. So
Okay.
excited for that.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Are you going to get a chance to watch it?
Apparently the website does streaming, but we don't know how good quality it is. If I get a chance, I'll send you a picture of him in his GBR gi.
Yes.
He looks badass. He looks like a ninja.
Yes. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah, let us know when that's happening in the streaming site as well. If we can try and pick that up and then have a little watch, I suppose that'd be good
Absolutely.
as well. Yeah, there we go.
Sharon, even Liv is mocking you for that mix-up. I know I apologize to every person in Greece. No way should you be tarred with the name of Germany.
But it happens, doesn't it? You know, like you said, like both begin with a G. I do that quite often. I get June and July the wrong way around all the time. But I
don't think I've done
that.
I don't think I've ever done that. I
I
get the kids' names wrong.
Oh yeah, I get May and March the wrong way around sometimes because they both begin with an M and an A.
Yeah.
MA, yeah.
It was just a slip of the tongue.
There we go. Not a good one at that. Magsy, shall we chuck some crap away into the Chain Wrestling Hall of Lame?
The Hall of
What do you got for us, Mags?
So this week, I've got a wrestler who potentially could have been a huge star. Real name of Dylan Marley. He was working for NXT. It started in about 2017, and he was a Vince McMahon wet dream of a wrestler, built like an absolute tank, 6 foot odd, just a huge specimen of a man, former a bodybuilder, everything that Vince McMahon looks for in a star. And he actually was not a bad wrestler as well. He had a unique look, but he wasn't the typical kind of bruiser, the kind of idiot monster heel. He's actually a very seemingly intelligent person, but he did some very horrific, or he has some very horrific mindsets and thoughts. So Dylan Marley, if you don't know, that's essentially Lars Sullivan. So
okay.
He started in NXT as a tag team wrestler, where after every match he would essentially beat up his partner, and eventually got pushed as a single star. He was a big part of the 6-man ladder match for the North American title, and then had a really good underrated feud with Aleister Black before finally getting his call up, and was started to air vignettes on Raw and SmackDown in late 2018 to essentially debut in 2019. That debut didn't happen because he walked out of the company due to an anxiety attack. He was then meant to come back for WrestleMania, and his push was to be into a feud with John Cena. Again, he started to get mental jitters over it. So he was then put into an angle with Kurt Angle, who just retired at WrestleMania the previous night. And they did the typical thing with Lars Sullivan, that he would beat up the smaller wrestlers, looking like a monster heel. And then some things came out about him that were not pleasant at all. It was revealed that he had made some horrific comments on a bodybuilding forum targeting former WWE wrestlers and talent, saying some very misogynistic, homophobic, racist comments. For an example, he said on one post, some blacks want to take advantage of their great grandparents' misfortune and they want a piece of the pity pie. He referred to leftists as feminine and he's against religion. He called rape a grey area.
Dear Lord.
He makes a lot of fun about gay people and non-white people. He made a lot of comments about people who are on mental health medication, called them weak, and make the fun of people suffering from social anxiety. He made some horrible comments about Scott Hall ODing himself. So yeah, it wasn't. It was some horrific comments. This didn't actually lead to him getting cut by the WWE. He was actually put on sensitivity training and fined $100,000. The straw that really broke the camel's back, though, for Lars Sullivan is some comments that came out towards other wrestling professionals. He started stalking a wrestler called who was called Charlie. Actual at was my name is Charlie, and he was liking every single picture that she had on her Instagram. Really kind of creepy mannerisms from him. And then he just was quietly released at the end of 2021. And faded away, deleted all his social medias, and as basically left the world of social media. And I want to kind of go back on some of the comments he made, especially about homosexuals, saying that that they were disgusting and that he would rather be dead than be homosexual, because the last thing that came out about him was that he starred in a homosexual porn film. So not only was he homophobic, he was also a closet homosexual in the first place. So yeah, this week's entry for me is the horrific class clown that is Lars Sullivan.
I think it's quite, and it's a combination of, I suppose, two segments that has spanned the history, I guess, of chain wrestling in our 2-year existence. He's going into the Hall of Fame today, but he's very much thoroughly a pimple dick as well. This guy is a piece of shit. The stuff he posts online is just downright disgusting. He's an absolute piece of crap. So 100% worthy of his spot in the Hall of Fame, Magsy.
Thank you very much. Well, it's sad that I've had to put him in the Hall of Fame because some of the things that he said in this time are just abhorrent, absolutely abhorrent. Yeah, he's a scumbag.
He almost deserves his own wing of like just dirty scumbagness, doesn't he? He's that low.
Away from all the funny Hall of Fames.
Yeah, there we go. My Hall of Fame is actually going back to somebody who went into the Hall of Fame very, very early on. And it's, well, a surname in professional wrestling that normally conjures up images of fantastic matches and wonderful personalities and entertainment. And that surname is Guerrero. Now, I think it might have been your first entrant into the Hall of Fame.
Gobbledygooker.
Was Hector Guerrero. Yeah. So
Hector Guerrero is amazing.
Yes,
the Gobbledygooker is not amazing.
So I thought, because it's our 2-year anniversary show, our 2-year birthday, I was going to try and hark back to one of the earliest Hall of Fames I could think of. And that was, I think, literally the first one you put in, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just so happens Hector Guerrero has another gimmick that is worthy of a spot in the Hall of Fame. Now, can you remember, or maybe not remember, because I would assume that you and I and most people listening are probably too young, but you've probably seen or are familiar with in the mid-80s, there was a quite popular children's game called laser tag, which went on to be quite a big thing in, we used to rent out the places you could rent out in Gloucester to play laser tag, like teams fighting each other and like a bit more high tech, a bit more advanced than what we saw here. Now, laser tag in the 80s, with what limited technology they had, would consist of the children wearing these kind of plastic sensor efforts that were quite bulky. I mean, again, it's the 80s, quite bulky, very not very well put together, not very good looking, I suppose, plastic sensors on their chest, and they would have a pretty shitty looking gun, and they could shoot each other, and it would result in these. You could play your brother, your sister, your mates, whatever, and you could have laser tag around the house. Now, notoriously, this laser tag didn't work very well. The sensors weren't very good, and the batteries would die incredibly quickly. And you can imagine the sort of thing that we're getting in this time, 85, 86, or whenever it was released. However, the NWA, in all their wisdom, in the mid-80s, decided, you know what? In a similar way, I suppose, to WCW decided with Van Hammer, kids like heavy metal, let's jump on that, and they're several years too late, and and all that sort of stuff. They thought, kids seem to like this laser tag. We should devise a wrestler that capitalizes on this popularity. So they basically got hold of Hector Guerrero, chucked him in a costume, and called him Lasertron. Are you familiar with Lasertron, Magsy?
I have heard of Lasertron.
I will show everyone an image in a moment. Lasertron himself doesn't have a long run, so there's not a huge amount of meat to get into with regards to the guy's actual wrestling career. He's around for several months in the NWA, but in that time, and this is what really baffles me as well, laser tag is a game you play with two people, a minimum of two people. Otherwise, what's the point? Who are you shooting at? Okay,
yeah, exactly.
The big part of Lasertron's run was in a tag team with somebody else that didn't dress up at all.
Brilliant.
By the name of Jimmy Valiant. They would have numerous matches in the NWA junior tag and main tag divisions. Lasertron would also capture the NWA World Junior Heavyweight title in 1987.
Jesus,
which is quite in the. I mean, okay, it's 1987, so the NWA is not. The junior heavyweight division at that stage was a bit of a wobble. It came back later on and so on, but it wasn't as popular in 87. I mean, we were sort of, the Dynamite Kid had faded away from that territory at that stage and so on. So, but yeah, it's quite a sight. And Hector Guerrero eventually, got out the costume, went on to have a very established career, and also a quite a long-term career in commentary as well. He did quite a great deal for WCW with other countries' commentary and so on. Allow me just to show everybody the wonderful image of Lasertron here. I will bring it up on the screen, and for those listening now to the live version who may not be able to see this very clearly, and also for those listening back on the audio version, I will tweet this out right now as well as we're on the show. This is the NWA World Junior Wrestling Champion, Junior Heavyweight Wrestling Champion, Lasertron, with his glorious gear there, holding that beautiful championship belt. You can see here the plastic chest piece. Now, I don't know why he's wearing that, because no one else is trying to shoot him, but yet he still walked around with the sensor on his wrestling gear whilst defending the championship. I don't understand why. And if you look really closely, not even that closely, the mask's see-through, so you can always see who it was anyway.
Brilliant. I love the little ant-style antenna as well.
Yes, it's a glorious sight, isn't it? So yeah, trying to hark back, maybe a bit of a stretch, I appreciate, but trying to hark back to an early Hall of Fame on our anniversary edition. Mr. Hector Guerrero goes in for a second time under the gimmick.
Poor Hector Guerrero, and a member of one of the most talented wrestling families in the world, and he's done nothing wrong but be saddled with horrific gimmicks.
Yeah, there you go. I'll just put the tweet out on the Chain Wrestling account there as well, at @chain_wrestling on Twitter. So if you want to have a little look, you can check him out and see just how shit and see-through that mask actually is. And I got no idea. Why did he bring the gun to the ring? Because he's not shooting at anyone else. Why has he got the sensor on? Because obviously it just makes no sense. It makes no sense. But the guy held gold.
Did the sensor light up as well?
I think when you shot
during a match.
Oh, I don't know.
I got kicked in the centre.
Kicked in the centre. I mean, I love the really awful kind of. It's like if Rey Mysterio got into drugs and never quite made it as a wrestler, and that's how he would look. That's crystal meth Rey Mysterio to me, you know. And I just love how shit that gimmick looks, to the point where I'm thinking I must have some sort of Lasertron T-shirt design somewhere. They must be able to come out with something, because it just looks so comically bad. So there we go, Magsy. Lasertron and Lars Sullivan, this week's 2-year birthday edition of Chain Wrestling Hall of Lame.
Two equally terrible, but for totally different reasons.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Let's have a quick scan through the chat, my friends, see what people are saying about these awful gimmicks and anything else.
First, nothing good as ever has the last name Sullivan. Didn't Rita out of Coronation Street, weren't she called Rita Sullivan? She were all right for a ginge.
I don't know who that is.
No,
For a ginge? What the heck? Magsy?
I know, that was awful.
That's
that
terrible.
was Lars Sullivan levels of ridicule. Morty in the chat used to work with a pass.
Lass, I'm guessing he's supposed to say Lass.
I'm assuming Lass. Called Lisa Sullivan. She was pretty fan. Hi all, by the way. Cam says, don't disrespect the Taskmaster, Dan Griffin. Does it mean Taskmaster's in like the Greg Davies show?
Kevin Sullivan. No, Kevin Sullivan he's referring to, isn't he?
Well, they mentioned the Taskmaster. The Taskmaster has won me over. I totally want a bathrobe like his. See, I wasn't the only one who mentioned Greg Davies. So, yeah, Dan says, Lars Sullivan is trying to get into bare knuckle boxing. I hope somebody breaks his massive jaw.
I hope somebody proper mashes him up.
Yeah, exactly. Wrestling Chiba says he did not know Lasertron was a thing. Just Googled him. Oh my word!
See, we're educational on this show.
Yeah, we watch this terrible wrestling, so you don't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Connor says, "What the hell was that? What in the Poundland Power Ranger fuck is that shit?" And Cam says, "Yes, Scottish Gigolo, Dan Griffin. If you haven't sorted me a Christmas present out, we'll need some eyeliner as well, or a sharper to get them lightning bolt eyebrows." Well,
back to Kevin.
They're not eyebrows though. Yeah, they're not actually eyebrows. They're above his original eyebrows.
Sullivan was painted all up here, wasn't he? And all, you know, it's an odd looking.
Ray Meth Stereo. And then Dan Griffin, Rita Sullivan kicked kittens to death for a laugh. Jesus Christ. No wonder Alan Bradley tried to run her over with a tram in Blackpool then.
That's, okay. I know that.
Coronation Street reference there.
This Rita Sullivan, did she really try and kill kittens? Was that a storyline?
No, that's Dan being facetious.
Oh, okay. I remember somebody getting hit with a tram or nearly getting hit with a tram.
No, she did get hit with a tram.
Did she die?
No. She lived and had a hellfare kitten kicking laugh.
Brilliant. Okay. So then, Magsy, this week, non-wrestling topic. Well, last week's non-wrestling topic, I guess. Should we dive into that?
Let's go for it.
NWT time. Oh, no wrestling talk here. It's the non-wrestling topic.
Lovely. Nice. Lovely. Nice. Oh, lovely. Lovely.
I've missed that belch.
Yeah, I absolutely missed it as well.
It cracks me up. Last week's, whatever, non-wrestling topic was about advice. We initially requested that people give us the worst advice they've ever received or heard other people get, or they've given out themselves, or whatever. A few people have given us good pieces of advice they've given as well, which is quite good as well, Max, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not following the assignment, but there we go.
Yeah, well, there we go. There we go. So I will dive straight on into the CWS responses to that tweet. I will go through them in the order they arrived into us, Magsy. I know you love it. First to respond was our good friend Connor from @ConnorKnowsFooty on Twitter. He says, the best YouTube stroke content creating advice I've had was the people will come and find your channel. Just stick with it. And as long as you're enjoying it, that's all that matters.
I remember saying that to him multiple times. So you're welcome for that advice, Connor. It's not, I mean, is that terrible advice or?
No, he says best YouTube advice, he says.
No, I know that, but we were asking for best.
Yeah, I know, but this is one of the people who took it upon themselves to deviate
To
and
be
do what they
positive.
want.
Yeah. I mean, how dare somebody deviate from the rules of chain wrestling? That's
Mate, honestly,
ridiculous.
fucking episode fucking 1, you couldn't stick to the rules. Literally episode fucking 1.
I was sorely tempted to break the rules for this episode.
Really?
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see where we go, because we had this pre-arrangement this week, didn't we? To put forward awful matches for people to vote for next week. So
because we've watched too many good matches recently. Yes. That's why.
Indeed.
So we want to watch some bollocks.
Exactly. Connor also says here, the best life advice he's had: fuck it, tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah, that's good advice. Today's news is tomorrow's chip papers.
Exactly. Dan Griffin @DanGriffin21 on Twitter. He says, the worst advice I've received usually involved trusting someone in either a personal or professional life. Yeah, fair enough. I can see that.
Never trust anybody.
Because people are assholes. Worst advice I've heard is to empty / clean fryers while the oil is still hot, as it flows better. And also
who gave you this advice? What human being takes that advice and goes, I will attempt that?
It also increases the chance of burns tenfold. Fucking stupid, Dan says.
How often did you? Who is the stupid one there? The person giving the advice or Dan Griffin for burning himself with red hot oil?
Yeah. There we go. Ben @witticisms of Ben on Twitter. He says, I once confided to a family member that I felt incredibly low and depressed. Their advice? Well, don't be. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, the advice I've received over mental health is cheer up. Well, fucking hell. What if it? Why didn't I think of that?
Man up is the other one, isn't it? Oh, fuck off, mate. You know?
Yeah. Put your face straight. That kind of it. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, people are assholes. Danny @Scottish Juggalo on Twitter, who I must say is incredibly excited at the moment on Nitro Nights, because we have coming out this week is the last episode of Nitro Nights pre-NWO. No, not ever. Pre-NWO. Next Thursday, Scott Hall arrives. So Danny is incredibly excited. So I hope everyone will be joining us for that little journey there through some pretty bloody.
But you don't know why I'm here.
Exactly. Oh, so good. Danny says, worst advice I've ever had was from a friend who suggested I watch a movie called Megan is Missing. Absolutely shut me up, and it's the only film I've never gone back and watched. I've never heard of this.
I've never heard of Megan is Missing.
No.
Let us know in the chat, Danny, what the film's about. Or have you looked it up?
No, I've not looked at it. Of course I haven't. What you take?
Yeah, shock. Have I done any pre-research? Have I, bollocks?
Mate, I still haven't finalised which link I'm using for the end of the show yet. I've got 2 in mind. I've not decided yet.
Jesus, I mean, I'm shocked at that you've got 2 links.
Danny, let us know in the chat, and anyone else actually, if you've seen the movie Megan is Missing, let us know why it was so scary, and also when we can do a watch along special episode of Chain Wrestling with you, Danny, to see you terrified on screen.
He said it's come back. He said it's a kidnapping movie and it's extremely realistic. I have never ever heard of that. So
no, I thought you were going to say I've never been kidnapped, so you wouldn't know how realistic it was.
Well, it would take a few guys to kidnap me. I think they'd give up. They'd just bring me back.
Perhaps this is like another venture to Danny's criminal activity. He knows it's that realistic because he's been, kidnapping people before he cuts them out.
Is he the kidnapper or the kidnappee, though?
Is it a true story? Danny, did you once have a friend called Megan? And this is this isn't actually a film.
That's
this is
what shit him up.
Yeah.
Because people found out Megan was missing and he thought, oh, I'm going to be rumbled this time.
Yeah, this is actually a documentary.
One stabbing too far.
How many stabbings is one stabbing too far? That's a whole different show, a whole different debate. James at I'm all right on Twitter. He says, not sure on general advice, but I had a dead-end job in 2006 and all my mates were going to the World Cup in Germany. I couldn't get time off work, but my mate advised me to quit as just could get another job after the World Cup. I quit, went to the World Cup. Yep, couldn't get my old job back. Well, I reckon that's brilliant advice. I'd do it.
That sounds like it was good advice. If it were a dead-end job and you couldn't stand it, you got to enjoy the World Cup and not have to go back to a shitty-ass job.
Exactly. And James actually does elaborate after I asked him, that sounds like a good thing. He says here, looking back now, it was good advice. Basically, we were based where Sweden were, so we just went on the piss for a month with a load of Swedish fans. Oh, brilliant stuff.
Go. Win-win.
Exactly. And we all know about those Swedish ladies. Apparently, it's a stereotype. I should move on. Rob at UTT Rob on Twitter. He says he was once told, use supermarket petrol. It's cheaper. The fuel particulates killed the engine of my S40. Had to get another car. What's an S40, Max? And don't say a car.
It is a car. It's a
I know
Volvo.
it's
Again,
Volvo.
Good link to James as well, because it's a Swedish car, a Volvo.
Okay, I thought it was Norwegian. Is it Swedish, is it?
You thought Volvo was Norwegian?
Well, around that's the same area, Scandinavia. It's all same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
right.
Swedish, but...
Okay, well...
What car did you get? What car did you get, Rob? It might have done you a favour, getting rid of a Volvo.
I don't understand that either. The supermarket petrol being cheaper and then the fuel particulates killed the engine. So is it just shittier quality fuel?
Yeah. I would assume that's the problem.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. At Pigs Bladders on Twitter, an absolute star at the moment, creating all sorts of images for people. Get in contact with him if you want something done. He's not something up for me, which is going to be a bit of a surprise at a future date. Images the other day of various podcasters as wrestling figures or action figures of the podcasters is gold. Max, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but there's a knock-up of an action figure of you. There is one of you. Of course there's one of you.
Tugboat or earthquake.
Absolute gold.
The shark. I'll beat the shark one.
Make sure you are following at Pigs Bladders on Twitter to see these images he mocks up. So talented. He says, I don't remember any bad advice I've been given. I make my own mind up about things, take advice into account, but it's my decision. But I love giving bad, useless advice and information. More ridiculous, the better. Like the girl at work now convinced buffalo wings are from buffaloes.
I've done that. I've told people to lick plug sockets and stuff like that. So in my youth, so it's funny when people
lick plug socket. That's not just trying to convince somebody that buffalo wings are from buffaloes, which is a bit misleading. What you're doing is
I was a child. It's not like I was not like I did it yesterday.
Did somebody ever get fried? Did you have to hide bodies? Did you tell someone called Megan to lick a plug? Is that what happened?
I said, why don't you go to Maidstone? I know this lovely lad called Danny's dying to meet you. And then that was the last I've heard of her. I haven't seen Megan since.
Megan is missing. MGB Graham at MGB Graham on Twitter. He says here, my dad, on what my first car should be, was more than I wanted to spend and then needed over £1,000 of repairs in the first month, which I didn't have. This was the mid-90s. So his dad's recommended him to get what his first car should be, more than he wanted to spend, and it cost him £1,000 to repair it anyway.
Brilliant. your first car should always be a banger. Something
Yeah.
that you couldn't give a shit whether you wrapped it, because you'll either get into an accident or you'll run it into the ground. If you spend a fortune on your first car, you're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot.
I wouldn't know.
I mean, did you spend a fortune on your first bus pass?
Yes, I did, because Stagecoach are bastards. Don't get me
That
started on
sounded really
Stagecoach,
horrible. That did it? That was sassy by me.
Don't get me started on Stagecoach, Max. It'll be a big old rant. We ain't got time. And as far as I can tell, finally on Twitter, we have Stevo at Total Stevo on Twitter there. He says he can't think off the top of his head, but in my place of work, the moron, muppet, dickhead of a manager, Jesus, Stevo, say what you really think, tells any new starter.
I wonder if his manager follows him on Twitter, because he's forever slating his manager.
I hope his manager listens and just sits. And I hope his manager listens, and I hope he hears Stevo slagging him off all the time, but never quite makes the link which Stevo it is.
Yeah.
You know,
or just laughing at the comments. Oh, this Steve sounds like a riot, and then just never twigs that he's slagging him.
He says here, the moron, muppet, dickhead of a manager tells any new starter, rather than filling the department cage by cage, dolly by dolly, the quickest and simplest way, Stevo says, just a gap fill, which even for someone like me takes forever. Yeah, see, management, mate, sometimes they don't know, do they, Magsy? Don't know.
Exactly. When they haven't been on the shop floor and they ain't got a clue how to run things.
Nope. Stevo continues.
Oh,
there you go. When told about moving to London by my mate, he said transport is great. Trains, buses, every 3 minutes. Yeah, in the central. When living outside of London and need to get in and out, it's horrific. Simple 20-minute journeys can take up to an hour and a half. Oh, mate, I feel that. Again, Stagecoach are bastards. Bastards.
Well, tell everybody where Stagecoach touched you.
Point on the doll here. Oh, they're just pieces of shit, Magsy. They're just absolute scum. But there we go. That's a story for another day. And that's what we got this week, mate. That's what we got, unless I've missed any out.
No WhatsApps, no. I think you've nailed them all. Thanks to the CWF for sending in those comments. We really massively appreciate it. You're the stars of the show. Simple as that.
Exactly.
No,
what about you, Max?
I'm kind of like James. I don't take other people's advice. Not that I don't take it. I'll listen to their advice, but I'll like consider it and make my own mind up. So I don't think I've had any really kind of like bad advice off anyone. The stuff with the mental health, that really kind of like hit home with me, because I did get a lot of that. The kind of like cheer up or stop being depressed, stuff like that. I'm actually just looking through Pig's Bladder's screen now, and is that a race? Why am I so racist on this picture? I'm going to have to put this picture back up.
Just to be clear, for those on the audio version listening, this is a mock-up Pig's Bladders has made. It's not Magsy going, why do I look so racist in this picture? And he's there with like a white hood on or anything like that. That's not the situation we're looking at here.
No, I'm very slim. I'm happy with the figure. That's all right. But I'm wearing an England shirt, massive tattoos all down my arms, with Rob peeping over my shoulder, as we are all at a football match, getting ready to storm the pitch.
I've got a crown on.
Yeah, and Morty and Fitch at the back looking incredibly racist.
Which is standard practice, isn't it? No, yeah, I'm joking.
Exactly. But yeah, check out King's Big Bladders, because that is some good Photoshop work.
Yeah, he does great stuff, doesn't he? He does great stuff. I don't know if this is, I suppose it's part my fault part the person who told me, and I can't even remember who told me, but somebody once said to me when I was living back at my mum's that this certain cleaner is really good to use because it cleans everything. So I decided to clean. Here's the action figures. Yes, these are great.
Who was my figure?
Sorry,
Was I Vince McMahon?
I don't know what you are there, mate. I got no idea.
And yeah, I mean the giant baby. That's brilliant. Buzz Lightyear for Dan Griffin, amazing.
I do actually think I've got those Jammer bottoms as well, to be fair.
and crown.
Well, that's Mr. Goodwin's crown, isn't it? So yeah, but there we go. This person told me to use this cleaning stuff, and it'd be really good to use and all this sort of business. And then one evening when my parents were out and I was still living back at theirs, I decided I was going to clean the kitchen for them, scrubbed stuff down, and I took all the numbers off the oven, which basically then meant it cleaned it well.
Yes, you have to guess how hot the oven went.
Yep, exactly. All of it, all the numbers just came off. And I was like, what is this shit? I can't tell you who recommended this to me or what even it was. But yeah, that for quite a while, so my parents got a new oven, meant that we were literally guessing at how warm the oven would be from memory from when the numbers once existed.
Why is this pie still frozen in the middle? It's been in 6 hours.
Yeah, so there we go. Thank you again to everybody in the chat and the CWF on Twitter and so on for sending in your non-wrestling topics. It's always a blast, and it has been since we started doing this. Steve-O can tell us what episode it was. I can't remember, but that's whenever that all began. I think way back, the original one was maybe Title or Toasty Magazine was one of the first, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that's something that needs to make a comeback, Title or Toasty.
Okay, I think we've done it twice in over 100 episodes, so it's got to be worth a revisit on it.
And we've not done drunk stories for
we haven't
such a while.
We have not. So that'll have to pop up as well very soon. So things to look forward to, I guess, for other people, maybe not us. But Maxie, it's not even 10 o'clock yet, and we're going to get around to talking a bit of wrestling, I think.
Look at this, we're flying through it. This is the new concise chain wrestling, in and out in 90 minutes.
That sounds like your sex tape.
Just like England in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, when the French are we gonna win the World Cup still, Mags?
A lot of the big teams are falling. Belgium, Mexico. Senegal. No, but some big teams have dropped out. I mean, Brazil is still absolutely smashing the laugh out of everyone. I think if we can get past France, then we've got to believe, surely.
Yeah. I think going forward, there's so many great options, isn't there?
Yeah,
just to get it back, it's a bit.
And to go back to like a section from the beginning of the show, whoever robbed Raheem Sterling's house whilst he was away, what a massive pimple dick they are. Just absolute scumbags. Absolute scumbags.
Pieces of shit, mate. Absolute scumbags. Probably work for Stagecoach.
Dan Griffin, where did Stagecoach touch you? Sar points to his wallet.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah, it's a good shot. And then they don't turn up, you know? Again, it's a tale for another day. Magsy, let's talk some wrestling, bud.
Oh, thought we were going to go for some chat then, but never mind.
Okay, let's dive into the chat then.
No, you've ruined it.
Let's get ready to rumble!
No, you've ruined it. You stroppy little child. I can always imagine you slamping one of your little feet under your desk and no, we're not going to do that now.
Yeah, I was tempted to just leave the studio then and have you just talk the wrestling match all on your own.
Shall we shoot through the chat now, Maxie, before we talk about wrestling?
No.
Really?
You can piss off now. Let's talk this wrestling.
All right, I'll get my notebook then. Fine. I'll get my little notebook out. Ready?
Go for it.
All right, I will do. All right, I'm getting my notebook. Okay, calm down. I can't operate like this with my little scribbles. 3 pages of notes, mate, and I can't read fuck all of them. But
And I can't even post the comments anyway because the chat on mine has actually disappeared.
oh dear me. Oh dear. Let's see if I can bring any up on mine. There we go. A little knife there from Scottish Danny. So
Yeah, it's literally it's wiped on mine. It's
oh,
as if nobody's posted at all. Maybe they've all
dear, oh
left.
dear. Yeah, maybe they thought this is boring. Let's go.
Talking wrestling, we're an hour in. How dare they?
Yeah, bastards. This show ain't what it used to be. I remember when it was good when it first started.
It was never good, people.
I liked their early stuff.
I liked them before they were cool.
Yeah. The winner of last week's poll was me. Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle. Iron Man match, 30-minute Iron Man contest from Raw Homecoming, which first broadcast on the 3rd of October 2005. It was when Monday Night Raw left the Spike TV network after being there for 5 years, I think it was 5-6 years, and went back to the USA network. So they, Raw Homecoming is what they referred to it as. A big 3-hour bumper show, which at the time felt special, magazine. No 3-hour Raws suck balls.
It was the first ever 3-hour Raw, I believe.
Was it really? Okay.
Yeah. And they had the first hour was kind of like a documentary thing, weren't it? About everything that happened on Raw and stuff like that.
I don't remember that at all.
Well, if you watch it on the network now, you get like the last 5 minutes or so of it. It's like a countdown, kind of like a pre-show.
I don't know what was going on. I couldn't watch it on the network today.
You couldn't watch this match on the network?
No, I couldn't watch this show on the network. Every time I clicked on it, it would come up and say, oops, a little red box, oops, something has gone wrong.
Oh,
on the network. But I clicked on the one before, the one after. I clicked on just random shows it would play. The one bloody show I actually needed to watch, it just kept coming up with the oops, something has gone wrong logo.
Did you try it on multiple devices?
No.
Brilliant. So how did you watch it then?
Daily Motion or YouTube.
Ah, okay.
So watched it on there. In fact, it must have been YouTube because I didn't get loads and loads of adverts because Daily Motion.
Yeah, Daily Motion is worse than YouTube for adverts.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. Trying to watch Quantum Leap on there, man. No. Trying to watch Quantum Leap on there is an absolute nightmare. So I've watched one episode. I'm still waiting for it to come out in the UK, the new Quantum Leap. Still waiting. My God, this is taking a long time for it to come out in the UK. But there we go. There we go. Yes, the 3rd of October, 2005. This was the opener, I think. Was it the opening match on the show?
I think there's like maybe 4 matches on the whole show. I don't think there's a lot of matches, but yeah, this was the first match. They have quite a few like vignettes and segments before that, but yeah, this is the first match.
Numerous legends in the front row as well for this Raw Homecoming event.
Well,
I would say
some legends, some not so much legends.
Yeah. And I would say probably 90% of those people sat there for this great big Raw Homecoming event never wrestled on Monday Night Raw magazine.
You are probably right, or some that wrestled on the very first Monday Night Raw, maybe.
Maybe. We get told by Jim Ross on commentary to buckle in. We're about to see a classic, and this is what they're referring to as the rubber match because we had the first contest between these two at WrestleMania 21 that year, and which was won by Kurt Angle. The rematch was at that year's Vengeance pay-per-view, won by Shawn Michaels. So this is supposed to be the decider, I guess. Maxie, when was the last time you watched this?
It's got to be at least a decade. I remember it being a really good match, but I don't remember it being in my kind of regular rotation of matches that I've watched.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen this since it aired.
Perhaps I have not.
No, that's going back a while, isn't it?
Which
is strange.
17 years.
Yeah, which is strange because Kurt Angle's one of my favorites of all time. Everyone knows that Sean's my guy. I think the guy's fantastic. I love the Vengeance match. I love the WrestleMania match. The fact that I've not gone back and watched this, maybe I have seen it since 2005, but not gone back and watched it more regularly is quite surprising just to me, to be honest.
I think it's probably because it's not a pay-per-view match.
Okay.
Even though it was pay-per-view quality, because it's essentially on a Raw, you don't remember it as like, oh, their match from Vengeance 2005 or their match from WrestleMania 21. It's their match from Raw on the 3rd of October. It don't kind of, the date doesn't stick in your memory, so you kind of like gloss over it, I suppose. But
yeah, that's fair enough. The match begins with, I suppose, Shawn Michaels in charge for a short period, but it's relatively back and forth quite early on, Mags, isn't it?
yeah,
a lot of high-paced stuff, people trying to take advantage and so on.
Shawn is really kind of aggressive at the beginning. He starts to try essentially and bum rush Kurt Angle at the beginning. Doesn't work out too well for him because he ends up being essentially suplexed by Kurt. But it's quite back and forward for the first 4 or 5 minutes, and with it being an Iron Man match, you would think that the pace would be pretty slow. You've got half an hour to fill. This isn't a slow match. The half an hour absolutely flew by for me. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of waste of time in this match. Obviously, we get the pretty early on thrown to the outside and a couple of chin locks here and there, but nothing that would say these guys are stalling to fill time.
No, you're right. It does, again, all the way through, seems very quick, very well-paced, but not rushed, I think, as well. And there's certain moments of this that we're going to come to that I think were timed so well and could have quite easily gone wrong and made the match look like shit, but I don't think any of it actually went wrong or anything happened to that in that way, I guess, Magsy. But we'll get to that shortly, I suppose. We have a sleeper at one point, quite early on, which is turned into a suplex. Kurt Angle counters out into the suplex, and then Kurt Angle's in control for a little while there until he's backdropped out the ring. And my God, did he get some height on that backdrop? What
a glorious spot this is. It's so good. And the commentary, first of all, the commentary was JR and Lola were really good. Coach, he's a shit commentator, isn't he? He was so aggravated in this. I get that the point of a commentary team is to kind of like point out what's happening and be like the soundtrack to the match. But some of the things that he was saying was so almost as if he was mocking the fans with the basic stuff that he was saying, as if we were idiots. There was one point that he says, he said, this is a great strategy by Kurt Angle. Beat up your opponent before going for a pin. And I'm like, isn't that the strategy of every wrestling match in the history of the world, Coach? You fucking ass clown. Yeah, he's just not a good fit for that commentary booth. But going back to that spot, so well done. All could have gone very, very wrong had Kurt rotated just that little bit too much, but the way he landed, it just looked brutal. And then the comeback when Shawn Michaels went for the baseball slide and Angle essentially sprung to life to hit the Angle slam on the outside. God damn, he's good. He got wrestling, didn't he?
Yeah, so good. So good. We also have a buckle bomb as well by Kurt Angle, which looked really nasty for a 2 count. And that was something else as well, Magsy, even right from the very start, with Sean almost trying to be like the aggressor earlier on, but then getting took down by Angle and going back to like the sleeper spot and the back and forth early on. They were trying to win the match. I mean, I talk about this a great deal on virtually every show I have that talks about wrestling. To me, it's important people trying to go for pinfalls and getting those 1 counts, those 2 counts, etc. Because otherwise, what's the point? You should be trying to win the match. You're trying to tell the story that this is a competitive event. It's a competitive contest. So you're trying to win. Of course you are. So that to me is really important.
Yeah, and this was another point where Coach said the blatantly obvious, and he was talking about Kurt's strategy of beating up Shawn Michaels, and he hasn't gone for a pin yet. And then 3 seconds later, he'd gone for the pin off the Buckabout, and I was like, "Ha! Stick that in your fucking pipe and smoke it, Coach, you pillock."
Yeah, what a loser. The first 4 arrives not long after this buckle bomb and so on. We end up with what I love as well, because Kurt Angle's not a small guy, is he? What is he, like 6'1", 6'2", maybe?
Yep, like 260 pounds or whatever.
He's a big old fella, but he runs up the ropes like he's a.
I love his spot when he runs up the rope. It's so damn good. So he's attempting a superplex, and Shawn Michaels, who is essentially on the outside, but he's on the second rope. He's going for you assume the elbow. Kurt is on the ring mat, spots that Shawn Michaels' back is turned whilst he climbs up that final rope, and just springs to life again, kind of like he did with the angle slam on the outside, but then sprints up the ropes to deliver a super angle slam from the top rope. The impact when they both makes Angle basically flip over, and then he's able to get the pin. Brilliant wrestling.
It is absolutely superb, absolutely fantastic. And again, that's one of those moments where the timing of it could have gone wrong.
If you froze.
Well, I've been having problems with you sort of sounding a bit garbly myself, Magsy, to be honest. Do people in the chat want to let us know if there's any issues internet-wise between Magsy and I? Who's coming through okay? Who's a bit wobbly? And we'll try and rectify them, if you don't mind. CWF, that'd be great. Thank you very much.
I don't know. Was that my internet or was that your internet?
I think it might have been you, because mine stayed okay throughout. I've just asked the CWF to let us know what they're seeing, but I've got you back now. Perfect, Magsy, okay? Do I sound okay to you?
Really? Yeah, I had no kind of icon in man.
Okay.
So,
yeah, nor did I.
Weird.
We had an issue with StreamYard the other day. Dan Griffin and I. So maybe it's a StreamYard thing rather than an internet thing. So
yeah, Sharon said it was my end that was glitching. Apologies for that. So where were you up to then?
Literally just saying. We were just saying it was one of those moments that the run up the ropes, the angle slam for the first decision. It's one of those moments that I referenced earlier on where it could go incredibly wrong.
Yeah,
timing wise. And it could go wrong with regards to an accident happening, some angle slipping, or that they time it wrong. So one of the guys comes off. You got the danger factor there, of course. However, you've also got the other side of it, with regards that if angle goes up too early or too late, they could still effectively be relatively safe, but it would look like shit.
Yeah,
and it would look prearranged. It would look, like they were working together. Whereas here, it looks like Angle has taken him by surprise because he gets the timing spot on the money, Mags.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. These are two of the best to do it. So there's a reason why they're able to pull off spots like this. And I don't know if you're the glitching caught it, but one of the things I was really impressed with was the force that Angle landed the angle slam with. That it was enough that it made him actually flip over once he'd landed on the canvas, and then got the pin. It was just such a brilliant spot. I really it's always looks impressive when Angle does the super angle slam.
I mean, this brings me to another note I've got here, to be honest. I mean, first of all, we go to an ad break, which is a little bit frustrating because this match is really, firing on all cylinders, even at this early stage. But we go to an ad break, we come back. Kurt Angle's very much in control of the match. But everything just looks so good. I can genuinely sit there and believe this is a proper sporting contest. I think there's a little bit of everything in this match. There's actual wrestling, there's a bit of brawling. There, for those who enjoy more of the high risk aspect of certain wrestling moves, you do get elbow drops, moonsaults, and all that sort of great stuff. But it's not like seeing 47 backflips or anything like that, where it takes you out of the moment. This looks like it could be a real sporting contest to a degree. Obviously, you've got to suspend your disbelief to a point, of course. Everything just looks bloody brilliant, Mags, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's two wrestlers at the top of their game, and it's so crisp. And Kurt Angle has got a really good strategy as well. He's got the first pin, so you capitalize on that, and you start to really kind of wear on your opponent. But Shawn Michaels is a once in a lifetime kind of wrestler, and he is not going to be beaten down by Kurt Angle, and he starts to build up a comeback, charges into the post, unfortunately, and then we see an attempt to an angle slam that gets countered into the sunset flip, which is then countered again into the ankle lock, and that's a really good throwback to their two matches that they've had over the course of the year. Because I think it's the WrestleMania match where Shawn Michaels is in the ankle lock, tries to do the kind of the typical roll out, and Kurt is able to keep the ankle locked on, roll with Shawn Michaels and get the win. So when Shawn attempts that roll out this time, and he's able to get the roll up into a pin, it's a really cool little throwback to him learning from that loss to Kurt Angle at WrestleMania, and being able to use and beat Angle at his own game, I suppose.
Yeah, you mentioned it there as well, the bump into the corner. That to me is two bumps in one, because Shawn's sent into the corner, takes it as you would expect, the Irish whip, back bump into the corner, bounces out to then effectively land on his back again just on the canvas. It was so spectacular, but again, it didn't look ridiculous.
No, these were two people who wanted to beat the living shit out of each other.
Absolutely fantastic. And again, coming back to the storytelling of the match and so on, you there mentioning the throwbacks to their previous two matches. I think that is so important as well as to why this contest is so good. But that's, like Magsy explained there, the roll up, it's now one apiece, and that's roughly 15 minutes in. And I looked at the clock and I was like, Struth, we've had half the time already. That's flown by.
Exactly. This match just flew by. The 30 minutes just flew by. Obviously, there was cutouts for the adverts. But yeah, the match was. We've watched 5-10 minute matches that have felt like drags. This I could have watched for another 30 minutes, and it just absolutely flew by. Yeah,
exactly. Something else I liked as well, and I think it's quite interesting how they structure these Iron Man matches, especially when it's heel versus face. I mean, we've had Brett versus Shawn at WrestleMania 12, and they were supposedly both good guys, so it's a bit different psychology, a bit different storytelling, and so on. Heel versus face Iron Man matches. How do you do that? Do you have the baby face going down a fall or two and having to fight back from underneath? Or do you have them win an early fall to get the crowd excited and so on, and have the heel come back? There's different ways of booking it, and we've seen numerous examples just in WWE themselves.
Yeah.
How they do this, I think, plays to the strengths of the people in the match. Shawn Michaels, I think, is very, very good in this era at doing the whole sympathetic babyface thing. The selling, the bumps, the selling of his legs, selling of his back, and bumping around for whoever his opponent is, making them look good. But at the same time, He's in the ring with Kurt Angle, one of the greatest of all time, somebody they've portrayed since his arrival in the company as being this wrestling machine. If Michaels is just taking a beating for that long, you would imagine, logically, Angle would be racking up the falls as they go. So the fact that Angle's already gone one up, then Sean putting it back to one each, it almost felt a little bit against the grain. It almost felt like if that was the end of the match, it would have felt a little bit like an upset on the night because Angle was in control for that portion of the match, Max.
Yeah, but I do think it also does play into a facet of Kurt Angle's character. He, especially in the early part of his WWE career, he was very naive when it came to as the character, not the person. As the character was a very naive. He would lose matches to roll-ups or to silly little things. The technical wrestling he had down absolutely perfect, and if that's how the match went, more often than not he would win. But a lot of his losses came when he takes his eye off the ball, and that's how Shawn Michaels got that first pin. Kurt had took his eye off the ball, and Shawn was able to roll him up and pull it back level, and that pissed off Kurt.
Yeah, again, coming back to how great everything looked, we get a spot here where Kurt Angle applies a body scissors on Shawn Michaels, and
a legitimate amateur wrestling move as well.
Yes. And the commentators are doing a great job. I mean, it's Jim Ross. Of course, he's doing a great job of selling how this will be affecting Shawn's back and so on. So that's another sort of selling point to the story there because of Shawn's history with back problems. But it's very easy for some of these moves to be, I suppose, it's very easy for some of these moves to look crap. I come back to the bear hug. Very, very rare I see a good bear hug. It's very easy for some body scissors or head scissors and so on to look legitimate. And sometimes it's quite simple and quite straightforward, it seems, for them to go too long with a certain move like this. And you take the wind out of the sails, But here, Angle looks like he's genuinely squeezing the life out of Shawn Michaels. Yeah. Shawn Michaels almost gets pinned a couple of times in the body scissors. And Kurt's even driving his forearm into Shawn's face at one stage for that little bit of extra oomph on the move itself. I thought, again, something as simple as that was so effective.
Yeah, it's wrestling 101. If you have those technical fundamentals down, a little bit of tweaking, and you've got a 5-star match. And these guys certainly know how to put on matches of that caliber. And it would have been easy for these two, knowing that they had half an hour to play it safe and to coast during this match. But these are also two guys that want to steal the show every single time that they're on an event. So they were always going to throw everything at this match, and it absolutely showed. It was such a good match to watch.
It was superb. We then get the suplex roll-ups exchange, the sort of German suplex attempt with the go behind, and then Michaels countering it into a roll-up, Angle countering that, and then we end up in the ankle lock. And again, Maxie, it's a throwback to their previous matches, which is brilliant storytelling. And Shawn's in the ankle lock for a very, very long time. Yeah,
and he's so good at. You mentioned earlier at selling the pain. He's his trailing leg. He's throwing that round wildly in an attempt to break out of this ankle lock, and he's really kind of showing the people watching that this legitimately is a move that hurts, and it absolutely is. He's in agony. And a lot of wrestlers will sell that move, and then 5 minutes later, it's almost like it never happened. Shawn Michaels keeps it up. He the rest of the match, he's working on a bum leg, and he's so good at that storytelling part of wrestling.
Yeah, he is indeed. And that's the decision there to go 2-1 Kurt Angle. after roughly 11 minutes left on the clock there when Sean eventually does tap out.
And that again shows that these guys are learning lessons from what had happened in their previous matches and in this match, because Kurt he does the grapevine on the leg, so there's no way that Shawn Michaels can attempt to roll and get the easy pin this time. He's putting him to bed, and it's 2-1. And Shawn Michaels as a bum leg. This match should be all over, apart from the final bell.
Yes, indeed. We return from another ad break to see Kurt Angle rightfully working on the leg and the ankle, don't we? And that makes a lot of sense, of course. And this goes on for a few moments, but again, it's not a case of the heel just working over a body part. It's still fantastic to watch. It's still seeing him picking Shawn Michaels apart, and Michaels occasionally trying to get a bit of a comeback going, and then getting Kurt Angle cuts him off and so on,
and goes straight back to the leg. That's great heel face dynamic work, where Shawn Michaels he's powering out of this kind of funk he's in the match. And every single time he gets a little bit of momentum, Kurt Angle's cutting him off and straight back to that wounded leg. It's brilliant wrestling.
So good. So good. With around 5 minutes left on the clock, we have Shawn Michaels building his fight back.
With a slap. Started with a slap.
Gives him a good old slap in the mush. Again, he starts his fight back here, punches, kicks, and all sorts are flying around. Eventually, we get the Shawn Michaels flying elbow, which is always flying forearm, which is always good to see.
Now, I rewound this bit a couple of times because I'm sure JR said it was a flying burrito.
He does, yes, which is what Bobby Heenan used to refer to it as when Tito Santana, because that was Tito Santana's finisher when he was El Matador, wasn't it? Well, and before then in Strike Force and all that as well. So
when it was the Mexican jumping bean.
Exactly. So yeah, this flying Michaels forearm. We get the nip up, but again, it comes back to the brilliant storytelling that Magsy mentioned a few moments ago. Michaels does the nip up onto his feet and straight away grabs his leg, and you can see in his face the pain, but also the expression of shit. That was a bad idea. So that was a lovely touch there as well, Magsy, wasn't it?
It certainly was. Just again, these two guys are some of the best wrestlers in the world, and it's just great storytelling. I've had to switch camera, by the way. I think my camera was glitching again.
You did go completely still, but I could still hear you okay, so everything was fine.
Anyway, I'm back.
There we go. We then get the absolutely superb, and I still think probably my favorite version of this move, the Shawn Michaels top rope elbow. It just looks so good, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's probably, at this time, it was probably the best elbow drop in the business. I do prefer Kairi Sane's elbow drop. I think the way she does it is just superb. But for Shawn Michaels, still selling that wounded leg, and he just transitions at the very last second to land it. It's so damn good, amazing. Again, I can't say enough good things about this match. It was an absolute gem to watch.
Yeah, and then sweet chin music, 2-2, Magsy. 4 minutes left on the clock, roughly, give or take.
Yeah, and a sweet chin music with the wounded leg as well, which is just Shawn. Again, just great selling. When he was tuning up the band, he couldn't put that effort in. And it looked like Kurt was ready to kind of rush him and spoil the party, and Shawn's just able to pull out sweet chin music just in time. And yeah, we've got 4.5 minutes on the clock. Are we going to get a winner in this?
Wow, we will see. We get another angle slam for a real close 2 count, and the crowd. I love that when you see guys, and again, Shawn does it so well, Angle does it so well. So many of the legends of the business do it. They basically play dead. They're out for the count. Then right at the last second, that shoulder comes up. It gets such a great reaction, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does. And then we get another attempt at an angle slam, but that's then flipped into a DDT, and both guys are down for the count. Sean stretches for the cover and almost gets it. We've got 2 minutes to go now.
We come now to another moment that, well, there's two here, but this one is the first. It comes up to another moment where it's so brilliantly timed and so wonderfully executed by both guys involved, because it could have gone so wrong and looked like shit. Sean hits the moonsault from the top rope.
Yep.
But ends up in the ankle lock somehow. And it's just fucking amazing.
Yeah, and it's this is similar to the I think it was the Vengeance match. Kurt goes to do a move off the top rope and he's caught with Sweet Chin Music. So it's the countering at the last second. It's just great little callbacks to their matches. Just really well done.
Yeah, superb. Michaels, this is where I started to worry a little bit watching back, but I had no reason to worry because these guys didn't let me down. But 90 seconds on the clock, I knew the result going in before watching, obviously. 90 seconds on the clock, we can see Shawn Michaels in the ankle lock, thrashing around like a lunatic, trying to get out. And I'm thinking, he's not going to stay in that hold for 90 seconds now and make an absolute mockery of it. Because to me, if you're in a hold that long, you should be tapping. It shouldn't, you know. And thankfully, that doesn't happen. But they don't go too long, Mags, do they?
No, and again, it's wrestlers learning from what's happened in the match. Kurt slaps on the grapevine, thinking it's going to secure another fall for him. Shawn Michaels has learned from that, and he rolls over and boots Kurt Angle in the face. It's those little touches of, I fell for this last time, I'm not going to fall for it again. Yeah. Really well done.
We then get the Sweet Chin Music, Magsy, don't we? He kicks Angle off. Angle stumbles back towards him. Bang! Sweet Chin Music. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking he's setting up for Sweet Chin Music here. But I watched it and I thought he's too close. But somehow he still managed to get that super kick in.
Yeah,
because he was incredibly close, wasn't he?
It was bang on the money. And then this is always the issue with when you're going with time limit draws and Iron Men matches, that these last few seconds are crucial. You have to be perfectly in sync, and these guys were just so well done. For Sean to just not be able to get that pin, and the bell goes, and we split 2-2.
Yes, indeed. Just again, the way it's timed, the way it's structured, there's 2 seconds on the clock when Shawn makes the cover. 1 second either way, that's either not as dramatic or they've got an issue with the finish.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so well done. And we've seen Iron Man matches and matches with time limits and so on fall foul to issues. I mean, you go back to like the hardcore battle royal thing they had at WrestleMania.
Rock and Triple H when Undertaker fluffed his running. Yeah,
exactly.
It's so easy to mess up, and we're talking about Hall of Fame level talents messing up. So to get it bang on the second, yeah, great work by both of them.
Unbelievable. Yeah, the time expires on the 2 count, but they then lie there for a few more seconds just to put forward the point of Sean had this one.
Yeah, and Sean grabs a mark.
Didn't win. Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yes.
Sean grabs a mark whilst he's heavy breathing against the rope and says, "We've got to go overtime." And Kurt Angle walks away, says no.
Brilliant.
Which means they're 1-1-1 in this trilogy. There is no splitting these two.
Exactly. So well done. Angle leaves looking like the shitty heel that he's trying to portray. Michaels there on one leg looks like the hero. But yeah, there's no victor. It's just... and the crowd boo it, but I think it was really... I mean, I'd have been pissed off at the time in 2005. But
Yeah.
watching back, I think it was so well done.
It makes
Absolute
sense
gold.
because with this being a rubber match and with the commentary making such a big deal of this being the match to split the two, it was the right result to keep this feud bubbling.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, loved it, Magsy. Out of 10, and your summary, what are your thoughts?
It's high. I don't think it's quite a 10. I again, there's just so many good things to say about this match. It for half an hour, it absolutely flew by. It wasn't poorly paced. There wasn't a lot of kind of like rest holds and time wasting. They maximized those 30 minutes, and I could have easily watched another 30 and not got bored of it. These are two of the best wrestlers to ever do it. So for me, it's at 8.5 easily.
Okay. So when you said, "Oh, it's very, very high," it's not quite a 10. By the way you explained that, then saying 8.5, that feels low.
Well, apologies. Sorry for dissing your boy HBK.
I'll tell you what, I loved watching this back. It's two of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Again, it was two on my Mount Rushmore when I came onto Badlands and we first met those few years ago, Magsy. I can watch these guys wrestle all day long, and it's absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I'm probably going to be a bit biased because these are two of my favorites ever. But I don't think I've seen a better Iron Man match from the WWE.
I think from maybe the Bailey and Sasha one.
Okay.
Okay,
That's a good shout. Yeah.
I think this has got to be up there.
This is definitely better than Brett Shawn at WrestleMania 12, which some people think is fantastic. Some people think it's boring. We'll have to have a look at that one day and decide what we think about that. I think it's definitely better than Rock Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably better than Lesnar Angle. Lesnar Angle was very good, but I think it's probably better than their one they had on a SmackDown.
That is a good one though as well.
Yeah, it is very good. Angle again though, guy's class.
Yeah.
I can't poke a single hole in this. I loved it. I would happily go back and watch it again. And talking to you about it, explaining about how much I loved it, has made me love it even more. So I'm pulling the trigger, mate. This is a 10 for me.
Woof.
Honestly, I think this was that good. I think it was that good.
Okay. I mean, I can't give you a lot of grief for giving it a 10 because I massively enjoyed it. I think the fact that it's on a Raw maybe kind of like took the edge of the 2-2 finish. Whilst it makes sense, you could look at that as maybe as a bit of a cop out, I suppose. So yeah, I'm happy with 8.5.
See, the 2-2 finish for me at the time, I was probably pissed off about it. I can't tell you firsthand, but I was probably pissed off about it. Now in 2022, watching this back, understanding that this series was effectively a trilogy, and they were at one each, and then they got into this half hour, and they've still not been able to separate who was the best. I'm completely okay with that because I'm completely okay thinking these guys are on a level par because they were that good, you know. So the draw for me, looking back, I love that finish now. Thinking that's so cleverly done because no one ever really got to say who was the definitive best going forward. And Angle left the company a few months after this anyway. He was off to. He ends up in TNA in early 2006.
Well, yeah, I think he did. He not request some time off because he was having issues with prescription pills and stuff like that, and then ended up in TNA. Ironically, did some amazing work there whilst pilled off his tits for the majority of the time.
Which is ironic considering who he's wrestling here, who spent a lot of his career pilled off his tits. But there we go. Yeah, I think it's that good, mate. I absolutely loved it. I'd happily go out and watch it again and again. It's as good as their Mania match. I think it's better than their Vengeance one. So yeah, it's got to be a 10 for me, I think. So there we go.
That's fair.
Magsy, going from a match that we've both just adored and sang the praises of and said is wonderful, we kind of came up with a little pact, didn't we? That we're both going to put forward something shit for next week and let the CWF choose the garbage we watch. So where are we going, mate? If your choice wins.
Yes, like I said earlier, we've watched some really good wrestling recently, and we've got our kind of like competitiveness between us to get our picks voted for has meant we've gone for some really good matches, which is good. I like watching good wrestling, but the point of this show has always been to point and laugh at the idiotness of wrestling. And I said that I was close to breaking the rules yet again, because originally I was going to put forward. We watched the first ever episode of Monday Night Raw, which they alluded to all the way through this episode of Raw. I think we had Undertaker versus Damien Demento as the main event on that episode. So that would have certainly qualified, but it would have also meant we're not just watching one match, we're watching a full episode of Raw. But you know me, I don't like to break rules, so that went out of the window.
Oh, that's the biggest part of bullshit I've heard in this show's 2-year run.
Besmirching my good character. So the struggle is Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle have not put on that many turds of matches. These are two of the best wrestlers to ever do it. So I had to be a bit tenuous with the links, but luckily the wrestling world doth provide. So outside the ring, you had a litany of Hall of Fame caliber legends. Just with it being homecoming, the stars were out. Just some of the who's who of wrestling was there. The likes of Harley Race. But next to Harley Race was somebody who is in the Hall of Fame, but should he be there? So I'm going for Hall of Famer Coco Beware.
Oh, good God. Millwall Chris now is cringing.
And I am putting forward a match that was actually one of the longest matches I could find in his WWF career, because Paul Coco was usually a curtain jerker in pretty short matches. So there's actually a match where he's almost co-main event. He actually goes on. He goes on after the world title match. So at Royal Rumble 1991, after Sergeant Slaughter has become the WWF champion by beating Ultimate Warrior, Coco Beware's in the next match facing the Mountie.
Oh,
and it's 10 minutes of joy. So we are going hopefully to Royal Rumble 1991 to watch Coco Beware with Frankie the Parrot against the Mountie.
He had on this Raw that we were watching, he had Frankie the Parrot there, but was he stuck?
He did. No, he was just so intently watching the match. No, I don't think he was stuffed.
I don't think he was a real parrot, mate.
This is an ex-parrot.
This is a working parrot.
A parrot has been gimmicked.
Yeah, exactly. See, I went a little bit less contrived to try and find my offering of pure shit for next week. And please remember, CWF, you are not voting for what you think you'll enjoy the most. You're voting for what you think will be the worst thing we can watch so we can have a laugh at it. So you're picking the shit for us, basically. I thought, everyone knows how great I think Shawn Michaels is. Just giving one of his matches a 10 here. All of his matches rate relatively high for me. So I thought, well, let's have a look at some of the worst matches of Shawn Michaels' career. And 2 popped up that I couldn't decide between, Magsy. I really struggled to pick. And I'm still not completely decided with now. I think I'm just going to go by online rating to decide which is the worst of the 2.
Okay.
Okay. And these all rank in Michael's, like again, on I think it's cage match, isn't it? Where everyone can rate the matches themselves online.
Yep.
I'm going by the cage match rating of Shawn Michaels' career to decide upon some of his worst matches for my pick. Now, the match that gets rating of Shawn Michaels' career, we've already covered. Want to hazard a guess at that one?
It's not the Vader one, is it?
No, it's the one in is it Saudi Arabia where DX faced and I think we gave that like a 2 out of 10, maybe something like that.
That was awful.
So I couldn't go for the worst. So I sort of having a little look at other things, and the one I'm not going to go for, but just to let you know the sort of criteria this is, rated very, very poorly. We have the Rockers and the Bushwhackers versus the Nasty Boys and the Beverly Brothers in a SummerSlam contest.
Quality.
So that was what I was going to go with initially. But then the very next on the list, voted a whole point worse, is when Shawn Michaels was drafted in at the last minute at Survivor Series 1993.
This was going to be one of my picks.
When
I was very
Mr. Jerry Lawler was supposed to be wrestling the Hart family with Jerry Lawler's knights. So he had 3 or 4 other guys in his team just as knights of his realm, his kingdom. But Jerry got himself in a spot of bother legally with, shall we say, ladies. Well, I was going to try and word it a little bit better. Yeah, but okay, nonsense. And
underage sex with children, basically.
Well, nothing was proven, obviously. So let's be very careful with what we say. But yeah, so he didn't compete. So Shawn Michaels competed. So we have Shawn Michaels and his knights, as it's referred to as, versus the Hart family. So we get the gloriousness of Bruce Hart involved.
Yes.
So,
I mean, vote for that one, because Bruce Hart is a wrestling legend.
See, I don't know. I'm thinking vote for your one, because I don't think, even in Royal Rumbles, maybe he has popped up, but even in Royal Rumbles, I don't think we've watched a single Coco Beware match.
I hope not. If we have, it's been wiped from our memory. Have we watched a Mountie match though? I don't know. So we might have.
I don't think we have. No.
Yeah. So
that'd be interesting.
Vote for man for 2 debuts.
Yeah, there you go. So those are your options for next week's. What should we call it? Top of the plops. I don't know. Something awful. Poll. We have Coco Beware versus the Mountie in what I'm sure will be a 10-minute masterclass of rip roaring action. I blatantly lie, obviously, from Royal Rumble 1991. Or we have 3 guys who shouldn't have been on the pay-per-view under masks with Shawn Michaels, who shouldn't have been in that team because it wasn't his team, facing the Hart family from Survivor Series 93. Awful, whichever way we go, Max.
Why did we do this? Why did we put that caveat?
Because it's going to be funny. Those are your options for the poll, which will be up later on in the week at @chain_wrestling on the show's Twitter. Maxie, shall we fly through the chat before we depart this evening?
Yes, let's. Shall I say no again? I've got the chat back up now. Anyway.
Okay.
Dan Griffin says he hasn't had much time to come up with any drunk stories, but he's got his works Christmas due coming up, so that won't be long. And Dan then said he left as soon as he realised that Sa had spoiled my day. Sa never spoiled. Sa is the highlight of my day. Giving Sa grief just puts a smile on my face, so it can never ruin my day.
I serve a purpose. I'm the insult target.
Exactly. Dan said, did you try turning it on and off again?
Multiple times.
And Scottish Daddy said I assume he's going to give it a 10, just like you, saying he loved everything about this match. Sharon and Mark blaming me for the internet problems. Yeah, blame Virgin Media. Dan Griffin said, big Ty Dillinger number from Sa, and then bring on the bullshit. He then also said, put forward his pick of the Kurt Angle TNA Reverse Battle Royal. What a bad concept that is. What a bad concept.
Stupid, wasn't it? That was ridiculous. Yeah. I don't think I've seen that since that aired, but that I may have to go back and watch that tonight because that was rubbish.
Oof, why would you do that to yourself?
Because it must be funny at some level.
I suppose it must be. Dan says he can't cover your pick because we covered that for that 90s wrestling podcast, and I can't ask Mags to watch that again. So vote for man then, the Mountain versus Coco Beware.
Get to watch.
Although ironically, we covered that for that 90s wrestling podcast. So
yeah, so your argument's invalid, Dan. So
so vote for both.
No. Let's not have a 50-50 again. Don't manipulate it that way because that's horrific. I don't want to be watching those. Oh, that would be terrible, Mags, wouldn't it?
It would.
That'd be terrible. But there we go. I suppose.
Stop wishing it to happen. You've put it out there now. This will be terrible, which means it will happen.
Okay. Dan Griffin is already now texting people. If you vote this way, you vote this way, you vote this way, I'll do this. Yeah, it's not going well at all, is it? But there we go. Coco Beware versus the Mountie, Royal Rumble 91, or Shawn Michaels and the Knights versus the Hart Family, Survivor Series 93. Both shite. I look forward to see what they give us, Mags.
Yeah. I mean, I don't look forward to it whatsoever.
No, not me. Do you want to let everybody know whereabouts they can find you online, my friend?
Well, I can. I mean, I am down here on Twitter at PodfatherMags, but Twitter just doesn't interest me anymore, unfortunately. But I'm still there, so follow me. Or on TikTok at Mags All Pods. That's where you can pretend to get hold of me, but I probably won't answer. Social media sucks, doesn't it?
It does a bit, mate. It does a bit. But there you go. It's the only social interaction I get, I think. I talk to the wife and kids, aside from that.
The wife and kids just don't count.
And I'd like everyone to go and follow the network, please, that carries this show at SJP World Media on Facebook and Twitter, and subscribe to the network channel as well. And also, really important, people are subscribing and leaving reviews for us on the YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, wherever. Chuck us a review on there, chuck us a rating, chuck us a subscribe, a follow, all that good stuff, and share away as well. I cannot express enough how important it is that people are sharing our show links. And again, you guys do it all the time anyway. I don't need to ask you or remind you, but just for argument's sake, it means so much to us. Because the more listens we can get, the more beneficial it is for the network and for the shows that we bring you each and every week. The same with the merchandise. When people are sharing the links to the merch store, people are purchasing merch themselves. It makes a massive difference to the network and bringing you shows like this and everything else on the network as well. You know, all the facilities we use to get these things up and available to you, they do cost a few quid. We cover that with the sale of the t-shirts. So it's always hugely, hugely appreciated. And what else is hugely appreciated is the fantastic 2 years I've had doing this show. I have loved every second. It's never felt like a chore. It's always just been fun. It's been brilliant speaking to you every Monday, Magsy. It's been brilliant with the CWF in the chat. And we're going way back to when we first started, and they weren't even called that. They hadn't named themselves yet. You know,
Shame gang. We were.
That was ropey, wasn't it? But no, it's just fantastic. Everyone involved and people who are joining us recently, people who have been with us since day one. Honestly, cannot express enough how much I appreciate people listening, getting involved, and I can't put forward enough gratitude to you all. It's so incredible that this show has gone 2 years, and hey, who knows? In 2 years' time, maybe we'll be sat here talking the same bollocks, Max. I
mean, it's very, very possible. And yeah, I can't echo your sentiments enough. From going to how we started to where we've come now, and just having the community that we've built, and we love every single one of you. You guys have made this show absolutely just a joy to be a part of, and the 2 years has flown by so quickly, and we we couldn't do this without you. It's as simple and clear as that. This show would be a shell of itself without you guys. And this isn't just a birthday for me and Sa and Chain Wrestling. This is for all of us for sticking with each other and dragging each and every one of us through 2 years of the world setting itself on fire. And you guys have been absolutely amazing, and we will never not appreciate everything that you've done. Thank you very, very much. And here's to the next 2 years.
Yeah, brilliantly put, Magsy. Brilliantly put. Make sure you're following the show at @chain_wrestling on Facebook, Twitter, and everywhere else. As I always say, make sure you're following there because you get your non-wrestling topic. You can get to vote in the poll and so on at @chain_wrestling there. Thank you so much, everybody, again for the last 2 years. Thank you to you, Magsy, for the last 2 years. Looking forward to where we go next. I'm off now to go and watch some Barry Windham matches. Kick out, Barry. Love you, man.
And I'm going to have a crafty wonk.